Golden Gems of Life, Gathered Jewels for the Home Circle by S.C. Ferguson and E.A. Allen, Central Publishing House, Cincinnati, 1884. Chapter Slander. Nature of Calumny. Slander never tired. Slander loved only by the base. Slander cannot injure a good man. Slander easily started. Your own character shown in describing another's. Speak kindly of the absent. Slander. There is nothing which wings its flight so swiftly as calumny, nothing which is uttered with more ease, nothing which is listened to with more readiness, or dispersed more widely. Slander soaks into the mind as water soaks into low and marshy places, where it becomes stagnant and offensive. Slander is like the Greek fire, which burned unquenched beneath the water, or like the weeds, which, when you have extirpated them in one place, are sprouting vigorously in another. Or it is like the wheel which catches fire as it goes, and burns with fiercer conflagration as its own speed increases. The tongue of slander is never tired. In one form or another, it manages to keep itself in constant employment. Sometimes it drips honey, and sometimes gall. It is bitter now, and then sweet. It insinuates or assails directly according to circumstances. It will hide a curse under a smooth word and administer poison on the phrases of love. Like death, it loves a shining mark and is never so available and eloquent as when it can blight the hopes of the noble-minded, soil the reputation of the pure, and break down or destroy the character of the brave and strong. No soul of high estate can take delight in slander. It indicates lapse, tendency toward chaos, utter depravity. It proves that somewhere in the soul there is a weakness, a waste, evil nature. Education and refinement are no proof against it. They often serve only to polish the slanderous tongue, increase its tact, and give it suppleness and strategy. He that shoots at the stars may hurt himself, but not endanger them. When any man speaks ill of us, we are to make use of it as a caution, without troubling ourselves at the calumny. He is in a wretched case that values himself upon the opinions of others, and depends upon their judgment for the peace of his life. The contempt of injurious words stifles them, but resentment revives them. He that values himself upon conscience, not opinion, never heeds reproaches. When ill spoken of, take it thus: if you have not deserved it, you are none the worse. If you have, then mend. Flee home to your own conscience and examine your own heart. If you are guilty, it is a just correction. If not guilty, it is a fair instruction. Make use of both, so shall you distill honey out of gall, and out of an open enemy create a secret friend. That man who attempts to bring down and depreciate those who are above him does not thereby elevate himself. He rather sinks himself, while those whom he traduces are benefited rather than injured by the slander of one so base as he. He who indulges in slander is like one who throws ashes to the windward, which come back to the same place and cover him all over. To be continually subject to the breath of slander will tarnish the purest virtue, as a constant exposure to the atmosphere will obscure the luster of the finest gold. But in either, the real value of both continues the same, although the currency may be somewhat impeded. Dirt on the character, if unjustly thrown, like dirt on the clothes, should be let alone a while until it dries, and then it will rub off easily enough. Slander, like other poisons when administered in very heavy doses, is often thrown off by the intended victim, and thus relieves where it was meant to kill. Dirt sometimes acts like fuller's earth, defiling for the moment, but purifying in the end. How small a matter will start a slanderous report. How frequently is the honesty and integrity of a man disposed of by a smile or a shrug? How many good and generous actions have been sunk in oblivion by a distrustful look, or stamped with the imputation of proceeding from bad motives by a mysterious and seasonable whisper? A mere hint, a significant look, a mysterious countenance, directing attention to a particular person, is often amply sufficient to start the tongue of slander. Never does a man portray his own character more vividly than in his manner of portraying another's. There is something unsound about the man whom you have never heard say a good word about any mortal, but who can say much of evil nearly all he is acquainted with. Never speak evil of another, even with cause. Remember, we all have our faults, and if we expect charity from the world, we must be charitable ourselves. Most persons have visible faults, and most are sometimes inconsistent. Upon these faults and mistakes, petty scandal delights to feast. And even where free from external blemishes, envy and jealousy can start the bloodhound of suspicion. Create a noise that will attract attention, and many may be led to suppose there is game where there is nothing but thin air. A word once spoken can never be recalled. Therefore, it is prudent to think twice before we speak, especially when ill is the burden of our talk. Give not heed to an infamous story handed you by a person known to be an enemy to the one he is defaming. Neither condemn your neighbor unheard, for there are always two sides of a story. Hear no ill of a friend, nor speak any of an enemy. Believe not all you hear, nor report all you believe. Be cautious in believing ill of others, and more cautious in reporting it. There is seldom anything uttered in malice which returns not to the heart of the speaker. Believe nothing against another but on good authority, nor report what may hurt another, unless it be a greater hurt to others to conceal it. It is a sign of bad reputation to take pleasure in hearing ill of our neighbors. He who sells his neighbor's credit at a low rate makes the market for another to buy his at the same rate. He that indulges himself in calumniating or ridiculing the absent plainly shows his company what they may expect from him after he leaves them. Deal tenderly with the absent. Say nothing to inflict a wound on their reputation. They may be wrong and wicked, yet your knowledge of it does not oblige you to disclose their character, except to save others from injury. Then do it in a way that bespeaks a spirit of kindness for the absent offender. Evil reports are often the results of misunderstanding or of evil designs, or they proceed from an exaggerated or a partial disclosure of facts. Wait, learn the whole story before you decide, then believe what the evidence compels you to, and no more. But even then, take heed not to indulge the least unkindness, else you dissipate all the spirit of prayer for them and unnerve yourself for doing them good. On many a mind and many a heart there are sad inscriptions, deeply engraved by the tongue of slander, which no effort can erase. They are more durable than the impression of the diamond on the glass, For the inscription on the glass may be destroyed by a blow, but the impression on the heart will last forever. Let not the sting of calumny sink too deeply in your soul. He who is never subject to slander is generally of too little mental account to be worthy of it. Remember that it is always the best fruits that the birds pick at, that wasps light on the finest flowers, and that slanderers are like flies, that overlook all a man's good parts in order to light upon his sores. Know that slander is not long lived, provided that your conduct does not justify them, and that truth, the child of time, ere long will appear to vindicate thee.